Okay, Be'ez Hashem, as part of our Shovevim series in a slightly different setting, I'd like to discuss halacha that I don't think I've discussed in previous years, and that is the inyan of listening to women sing. Kol be'isha erva, kol isha, as it's famously known as. And it's obviously a question many people have. Maybe a different time we'll discuss the inyan of goyish music. Not that it's nageya, but it's always good to talk about it. Different things, how bad can it be? The first thing we have to discuss, obviously, is the inyan of music itself. You have to understand, music is one of the most powerful tools that we have. Music is the most incredibly powerful tool. They say that music goes into the depths of your neshama, which is why it's so powerful, which is why we know that many tzaddikim, many rebbes would ask people to sing for them, people to play instruments for them. Some of the rebbes themselves famously composed many beautiful tunes, some of which we even sing today. Music is a very, very powerful tool, which means as powerful as something is, the more damage it can do. Okay, that's generally how it works. Okay, now I want to talk about specifically not music, but the inyan of listening to women sing. Seems to be that people think it's only a chumrah, it's not really nageya, if I don't know what she looks like, all sorts of things. And I think it's important just at least once to go through some of the marmakomis. Let's see where it comes from. Let's see where it all sprouted from and where it actually stands in halacha. So we'll start with a kliyaka. The kliyaka brings in Parshas Kedoshim on the pasuk Kedoshim Tihiyu, be holy. And the kliyaka writes that the inyan of kedusha, which is obviously why we're discussing this in Shovevim. Shovevim is a time that we work on Yonei Kedusha, and on Sunday nights we work on the inyan of Arayas and Histaklus, Vanoshim. But this is very similar to the type of idea that has a similar siba. So the kliyaka writes again on the pasuk of Kedoshim Tihiyu that the inyan of Kedusha by Klal Yisrael is specifically here before Matan Torah. Before Matan Torah, v'atom tiuli mamleches kohanim v'goy kodesh. Before Matan Torah, because before we got the Aseret Adibros, before we got everything, because the first step that a person has to have is Kedusha. And that's why it's important for a person to realize if a person wants to mekayim the Torah, a person wants to keep the mitzvahs, a person wants to do so much, the very first step is to be Kodesh, is to be holy. Right? And Kedoshim Tiyu, the Ramban famously writes as well, is don't be a menuvel b'Rishus HaTorah. In other words, there are certain things that are mutter, but don't do them. So in other words, even if maybe possibly there may be heterim to what we're saying, that doesn't mean of? Menuvel means don't be disgusting. Right? B'Rishus HaTorah. In other words, don't come and say, oh, it's mutter, and do something which is disgusting, right? There are certain things, and especially in Yonei Kedusha, we can find a heter for this, we can find a heter for this, we can have a rabbi that says that. That doesn't mean necessarily that you should do it, okay? So that's the first thing I want to discuss. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention is that what the Gemara says, in other words, wherever, whenever there's a geder of Kedusha, whenever there is a geder, is a fence of Kedusha, there you will find, of Erva, whenever there's a geder of Erva, there you will find Kedusha. It means that when a person builds a wall, a person builds a geder, and he says, Adkan, this is the line in the sand, I don't go past that. That brings Kedusha. And that's what a person has to learn when it comes to Inyonei Kedusha, to build gedorim, to build walls. And therefore that's what we're discussing today, is a very big chelik of a wall that a person should be building. In fact, the Ritva at the end of Masechtas Kedushin says that every person, when it comes to Inyonei Arayas, should make his own gedorim. Why? Because each person knows his strengths and his weaknesses. And therefore, for some people, it won't be such a big deal. For other people, it will be very detrimental, it will be very, very bad, it will be very, very influential. And that's why every person has to pick his own gedorim. But again, kol mokim shetimtza geder erva, sham timtza kedusha. Wherever you find a geder for an erva, that's where you're going to find Kedusha. So if a person wants to bring himself to Kedusha, which is one of the highest levels of the Mesilas Yesharim, and that is to build gedorim. Now, let's see the makar. Where do we find that there's a problem to listen to women sing? Again, we're not discussing goyish music. We're not discussing disgusting music with bad lashonas and all things like that. That's a different sugya. Maybe we could discuss that at a different time, but I don't even know we have to discuss that, because there's a Rambam in Perush Mishnayos on Pirkei Avos, end of the first parak. The Rambam says the whole inyan of goyish music, and he talks about taking taking Goyish tunes and turning them into Jewish songs by changing the words, the Rambam doesn't like it because it came from a bad source. It came from a tomei, an impure place. So we're not going so much into that because I don't even have to mention that. I don't think we have to talk about Goyish music because it mutu asa, like this pasha. The words that are coming out over there, the things that these people are discussing, the things that these people are doing, right? That are writing the music, that are singing the music, is something that obviously a yid has no shaykhs to, and we should not associate ourselves with. The question often comes in with women singing, because often what women could be singing is not necessarily going to be disgusting, it's not necessarily going to be the worst words in the world, sometimes obviously it is, it's obviously a different shayla, but the etzem zach of having a woman sing, where does it come from? So there's a pasuk in Shir HaShirim, Perek Beis, pasuk Yudalet, where the pasuk says like this. The pasuk says, Hashmi'ini es koleich, I heard your voice, ki koleich orev. It's very sweet, it's very thick, it's very sweet. Umarech nava. Right? Chazal in the Gemara in Brachos Chav Dalet learn from this pasuk in Shir HaShirim that I just quoted, ki koleich orev, Omar Shmuel, kol be'isha erva. So it's learned from a pasuk in Shir HaShirim, which again the Gemara in Brachos Chav Dalet discusses. The Torah Temima explains again, pasuk in Shir HaShirim, that it's a kol, it's einoi motzoi. It's not normally found, and therefore it's ma'oyer the leiv, right? It gets the heart pumping, it gets the heart thinking. Now the question obviously is, and we're going to discuss a little bit of the Marmar Koimus, is it a Doraisa or is it a Durabon? What is it? It's not a pasuk in the Torah, right? It's a pasuk which Chazal darshan from Shir HaShirim. What din does that have? A Doraisa or Durabonon? So most Rishonim hold that the Issa of listening to a woman sing is an Issa Durabonon, which is Pashtus, the Pshat in the Rambam. The Rambam in Isurei Bia, Perek of Aleph, Pasuk Aleph holds that it's an Issa D'Rabbanon. The Torah passes this way in Arachaim Simon Chav Aleph, in Even Ezer Simon Chav Aleph, and the Shulchan Aruch over there also, the Nishmas Odom, Klal Dalet Siv Aleph, the Kaf HaChaim as well, and Arachaim Simon Ayin Hey, and others as well. However, there are those, the Stei Chemed, for example, brings in Mareches Kuf a big machloikus, and he brings many that hold it's an Issa D'Oraisa. It's mamish an Issa D'Oraisa. Now, even if you hold it's not a D'Oraisa, so it's only a D'Rabbanon. Now, first of all, what I just said was very, very wrong. It's only a D'Rabbanon, person should never say, right? I've told you many times, I'm going to say it again. My Rosh Hashiva, Rav Chaim Zatzal, always used to quote the Aruch HaShulchan, that if he says, oh, it's only a D'Rabbanon, don't mistarif him to a minion. Right? A D'Rabbanon is as chomer as a D'Oraisa, sometimes even more chomer, especially when the Torah told us to listen to the D'Rabbanon. But over here, when we're dealing with our rayas, the Gemara in Brachos, you'd base Achrei Einechem Zu Hira Avera. We're dealing with Hira Avera that a person can have through listening to a woman sing, and therefore we're dealing with Yonei Arayis, and in the moment we're dealing with Yonei Arayis, it's very, very chomer, even if you hold it is a D'Rabbanon. Now, let's just clarify a moment. Do we mean listening to a woman speak or sing? Because if you know, the Gemara that I quoted to you in Brachos Chav Dalet does not say singing. What does it say? Kol. Kol means what? The voice. So what? Listening to a voice of a woman is an erva? That's the literal translation, by the way, of the Gemara. If you would art-scroll the Gemara, I'm assuming, unless the Gemara goes with how we learn, but if you go with Poshet Pshat of Kol Be'isha Erva, that means the voice of a woman is an erva. That means you can't hear it, so you can't listen. And there are many tzaddikim even nowadays. The Stipler, for example, was one of them. With Tzimai Zilberg, for example. There are others as well that I know personally as well. They don't listen. Won't even go listen to women have a shayla. If a woman has a shayla, you can't go to this certain rov because you won't listen to a woman, right? Because again, they take this to the extreme only because again, al ritva, it's in Yonah Hirurim, and the person knows himself, and therefore they've got to be extra careful. Now, there's a steer in the Gemara. There's a steer in the Gemara, Bob Metzia and Kiddushin the Gabi this Inyan. Okay? The Gemara says like this. There's a machlokes if shoyel b'sholem is mutter. Are you allowed to say hello? Are you allowed to ask hello from a woman? The Gemara in Kiddushin Daf Ayin Amud Aleph says like this. Omar Shmuel, ein shoyelim b'sholem b'isha klal. You can't say hello to a woman. You can't say hello to a woman. She's not your wife. She's not your sister. She's not your mother. There's no reason. And the Gemara brings the raya of kol b'isha erva. Right? Even to the husband you can't. So you see from there that the action of speaking, the speech from a woman, right?
Your wife?
No. Even through the husband you can't say hello. Meaning, derech the husband. Say hi to your wife for me. That's what the Gemara in Kedushin. What's that? No, you can ask if she's okay. That's what the Shulchan Aruch says. But saying hello, hi, is more of an endearment, and that's what the Gemara says.
Send a regard.
Right. No, that's more of an endearment as opposed to, is she like, I heard she wasn't feeling well, is she feeling okay now? That's just a, derech eretz. Then there's a Gemara in Bab Metzia, Pei Zayin Amud Aleph, where the Gemara says, that which Shmuel said, in Sholim Be'isha Klal, that's only by an Odom Zar. Stam, a woman that you don't know. Stam, you're going to a woman in the street saying, hello, Mechdeza. Oh, but through the husband? About it's mutter. What's going on? Stira? The Gemara says in one place it's mutter, in other place it's asa. What's going on? Comes along the Marsha and Chedusha Goddess and Bab Metzia Pei Zayin, and the Marsha says, if it's for the tzorech, you're allowed to speak to a woman. Chazal never said dibur be'isha. They said koil be'isha. That means when you get hana from the voice. Stam the dibur of a woman, that was never asa. There's no issa of hearing the woman speaking. Oh, but koil, says the Marsha, koil means something you get hana from, as in Shir Hashem. It was a pleasant voice, and therefore that is problematic. So it says the Marsha, that's the difference between the two Gemaras. One was talking about koil, one was talking about dibur. One was asa to the husband, one is mutter to the husband. 1 second, says the Rashba in Brachos Chav Daled, he brings a Ravid to explain that koil be'isha is only when it's kiruv das, when you have a shaychus over there, right? And we saw a similar thing we quoted a moment ago from the Torah Tamima. That the Torah Tamima says that the Kol Isha is only Pshat She'ena Motzi V'Ragel. You don't normally hear it. Something that can get a person excited. That's obviously what we're dealing with over here. Now, what's with listening to a woman speak?
A woman news reporter.
A woman news reporter. I'll say even more than that. What about a woman gives a share? Are you allowed to listen to it? You want to hear a share? A woman gave a share. You heard it was an incredible share. Really got a lot of chizuk. Are you allowed to listen to a woman giving a share? So you have to know where it comes from. Let's start. The Beis Yosef and Orach Chaim Ayin Hey. Now Ayin Hey talks a lot about the inyanim of erva. Talks about covering of the hair, women's sneers halachas with knees and elbows and all these things. Orach Chaim Simon Ayin Hey talks all about this. So the Beis Yosef and Ayin Hey brings a Rabbeinu Yonah that he says Kol be'isha erva hani mili. That's if it's a nice melody. It's like a nice song they're singing, or a song and they're saying a whole thing. But speaking, Beis Yosef brings Rabbeinu Yonah says it's absolutely mutter. The Ramah, again, Orach Chaim Ayin Hey Siv Gimel, says that a normal voice of a woman is absolutely mutter, and as I paskin the Aruch HaShulchan, which means listening to a news reporter theoretically would be okay. Says Rav Moshe, it's a Tshuva Yeridea Chelik Daled Siman Tesvav in Igros Moshe. He says, of course, normal speaking of women is no problem whatsoever, but the problem is. Right, and he brings a raya, by the way. The Benois Tzlofchad came to Moshe Rabbeinu complaining, right? Lama Nigora, Pesach Sheni, we were Tomei, but Pesach Rishon, we need another Pesach, whatever. And they got it. They came to Moshe Rabbeinu obviously heard them over there. So you see from there, says Rav Moshe that there's no problem of regular, normal speaking. What about Hana? So the Mishnah Berurah says clearly, you can't have Hana. That means to say that Chofetz Chaim is telling us, if you happen to get Hana from a news reporter, a woman news reporter giving the news, and you really enjoy her voice and the way she speaks, don't do it. Then you have a problem. If you're just listening to what she's saying, say no. That's not a problem. But if you actually get Hana, absolutely that's a problem. And the Ben Ish Chai brings Machmirim, even B'dibu Ba'alma. Right, there are Machmirim, as I mentioned, many tzaddikim will not listen even to the regular speech, which is why Lahiris Nosson, Chedek Aleph Simon Samach brings from all over different Gemaras that people heard Noshim, and it means, and they had taivas and everything, it means kavana. They had kavana to have hana, but regular speaking is not going to be a problem in this case. Agav, there's, as far as I remember, Tshuva Shevet Halevi from Rav Vosner, where he talks about listening to a shir of a woman and he doesn't like it. And the reason he says that is because when a woman gives a shir, they're not just plain speaking. They're going to, the voice goes up, it goes down, there's a little bit of a tune sometimes, it's a little bit worse, and therefore that's why listening to a shir, it's not so partial. I'm not saying it's also, it depends on who it is, but there could be more of a mokim in that case. Now singing, Shulchan Aruch very clearly, Even Ezer, Chav Aleph Aleph, Sorech ha'odom li'srachim anoshim ma'od. We very, very rarely find such a lashon Shulchan Aruch that a person should be extra careful to ma'od, separate one, and one of them is women. And then the Shulchan Aruch continues, v'asa l'shmoya kol erva. You're not allowed to hear the kol. Again, the kol, as we understand it from the Gemara, means not the voice speaking, but the nice, the hana, the singing, whatever similar. Now, the question like this: is listening to a woman sing be'etzem and erva, or is it the pshat we're worried about hirurim? We're worried about a hearer that a person may think what she looks like, think about other women, and all other things like that. My nafkamina. What's the difference if it's be'etzem and erva, or it can bring you to something? So nafkamina like this: if we say be'etzem it's mutter to hear kol isha, and what happens if you don't know who the woman is? I never saw her. I don't know what she looks like. And therefore it's not going to leave to hero. If the only problem is hero, if I don't know what she looks like, maybe there's no problem whatsoever. Another example, what if it's on a tape or on a CD, on an MP3, on the radio? It's not really her voice. It's a remake of her voice by sound waves. It's not Be'etzem, it's not in front of me, it's in front of me, I hear. But it's on a CD, it's on MP3. That will be the nafkamina. If you hold Be'etzem, it's erva, so then then it might be okay, because it's not an erva. But if you hold Al's hero, someone's not much meaning, it's on a CD which is in front of you. The hero is hero, because you know what she looks like, and you might get her about her or other people for that matter. So it comes out nice, it's a major machlokes from some of the Gedolei Achronim about it. The Chida, for example, hold Be'etzem, it's an erva. Other hold it's not really an erva. Rabbeinu Chananah seems to go this way, with Agos Maimoni, and the Pri Megadim seems to pass in this way, like the Nevush, which is it's Al's Hihurim. Which would mean to say that even if it's on a tape, it's going to be problematic. So there is a famous tshuva from Rav Ovadia in Yabia Oime Chelik Aleph Siman Vav. I don't know if you've ever looked and opened up a Yabia Oime. Mind-boggling. Just to get a appreciation of who Rav Ovadia was, you open up Yabia Oime and you see Marmar Koimis. It's unbelievable. The man was Kol HaTorah Kula, right? And he writes a tshuva over there that he wants to say that even though there are Mekilim who say, that say what? If you don't know what she looks like, it's okay. He passes that it's also. So if that's the case, so it's not necessarily if I know what she looks like or we don't. Now again, there are those who are making. If a person is stuck in a restaurant and they're playing a woman singing and he doesn't know who she is, there's more of a mokum to be makel, right? But a person has to be careful. By the way, even family members could be similar, right? Obviously, the Shlomo Zalman says it goes from the age of 3 already is considered to be. The Mishnah Berurah says even a single girl is going to be asa, right? Even the Be'etzem you could marry or whatever. Others say from 9, others say from 6, right? So Moshe says b'shas atchat you can be makel until 11. It's very nageh. I've had shilas from people that were going back to a chasna of their, brother-in-law, sister, whatever it may be, and one of their nieces is going to be singing at the wedding. Right now, it's a very common shaila I've heard many times from different people. So, what's the halacha? Do I have to go out the wedding? In the middle of the wedding, the little girl gets up. She's 11 years old, 12 years old. She's 7 years old. She's within the she's within the time frame of what many poskim hold as asa, and she gets up and sings a nice, nice grammar, a nice poem, whatever about the chasam, the kala, whatever it may be. So again, Moshe says first of all you could be b'shas can't be making until 11. Maybe you could try to think about something else. If you can go out, then obviously it's better to go out. If no one's going to notice, you're going to make machlokes. You have to know all of these things. When it comes to shalom bayis and machlokes, it's a whole different situation. But a person has to realize all these things. And again, you go to a taxi. By the way, I checked out with the New York taxi commissioner that in New York you have the right to ask for a music-free ride. That means if the taxi driver is putting on music and it's not the right music for you, for a Ben Torah to be in, so then you can say to him, and you have every right, up his law, to ask him for a music-free ride. I know other rabbanim that would dafka not ask the taxi to switch off the music. Why? He said to me like this. He said, listen, this is his business. This is what he does. For him, he needs music in order to drive, in order to continue. If that's what he needs, leave him alone. Others would say, no way. There was one of the rebbes that was in a taxi one time. They played up some music over there that wasn't 100% kosher. As soon as he got out of the taxi, he went straight to the mikveh. Again, it affects the soul. We don't realize it. We don't see it sometimes. But the music penetrates into the depths of our soul. And it's very, very important. A person has to realize that. Because at the end of the day, it can have an effect on a person. A person cannot learn Torah if there's kol isha going on. Right? A person's learning Torah in his house or wherever it may be, and there's kol isha going on, you're not allowed. Even non-Jewish women, by the way. People think only by Jewish women singing. No. Even a goy. About even a goy. It doesn't make a difference of her age. Even a goy singing is going to be also very passing the Pri Megadim. Right? There's even a shaila by sisters. I'll have to listen to your sisters sing. Right? There's a shaila. There's a shaila v'la hug your sister. I'm not going into that maybe at this moment of time. Maybe we'll discuss that at a different time. I don't mind going into that. But right now, when it comes to sisters, there's a machlokes. Roy lahachmir, but there's a makom to be makel, of course. But, whatever. Some poskim are machman that even if you hear your mother sing, when you're saying Krishma, you're middle of learning, your mother singing in the kitchen. Some poskim say, in the middle of Krishma is Mama said, Kabbalas Omachos Shamayim. You shouldn't be doing Kabbalas Omachos or learning Torah when your mother is singing, even though it's your mother. Or Krishma. A lot of poskim are making in that case. Right? So machlokes are poskim in many of these things. Zmiris, you know when it's in the Geh? By the Haggadah. By Pesach, when you're singing the Haggadah, and Kenai Nahor, the ganze Mishpacha is Zezamen, and everyone's singing together. What's the dinner in that case? You got your wife there, you got your daughters there, you got other people. Obviously, you've got other people there. It's not Negeah. You got other people there, your sisters, all sorts of things over there. So some people say if you're singing louder than them, you can't hear them. It's mocken to be makel. Some people say it's mutter and ganzen anyway, and some poskim are machmeh. Again, different shilas. I don't want to go into all the psak of every single one because it will depend on the dynamics of the family, because depending on who you are and where it comes from. By the way, there's no issa hearing a woman play an instrument. Right? Even though she plays an instrument, it's very geschmack, it's very nice. There's no issa. Now, if you happen to know that that's something that gets you going, say, you've got to watch out from that. But the idea basically is to make sure that that you don't hear the voice, you don't hear what it is. It's very, very important for a person to realize. You know, the Rambam writes in the Hakdama of the Rambam, he writes that he was the first one to do this. The Rambam did something incredible. He was the first one to split up the Torah into sections. Right? Every section is a different name. Right? You look at the Rambam on the shelf in the Beis Medrash, you'll see all different names of the Rambam. The Rambam split up his Mishnah Torah into sections of subjects. There was no one that did that before the Rambam came along. It was an unbelievable thing that he did. And he explains in the Haggadah why he did it. He says, why is each one called that name and certain halachas in it? When it gets to Sefer Kedusha has Inyonei Arayos, Machalos Asuros, what you can and cannot eat, in the same volume. And the Rambam explains, because these two halachas are what separate us from the goyim. The inyonim of arayos and the inyonim of machalos asuros, what you can and cannot eat, says the Rambam is what separates us from goyim, which is an incredible thing. That means the Rambam understood there's no other halacha apart from the inyonei arayos, what we're discussing now, and what you're eating, kosher food, everything else that comes together with that, that's going to separate you from a goy. And I think that's a very, very important thing. You know, when they say when Mashiach comes, he's going to pick out those Yidden out there that associate themselves with Yidden. The ones that don't associate themselves with Yidden, they're not really Yidden. I'm talking about the ones that they're happy to be Jewish, they're proud to be Jewish, the people that act like Yidden and all these things. So at the end of the day, the Rambam was telling us, what separates us from a goy? He says the Rambam, and he wrote this in the Akdama, what separates us from a goy is Inyonei Arayos. So when a person listens to these things, apart from the fact that it's saving you from other Isurim, Isurim that we didn't even think about, because a lot of people think, oh, what's the big deal? It doesn't affect me. It does affect you. Even if you think it doesn't, it does affect you. It goes into your neshama. It goes into the depths of your soul. But more than that, says the Rambam, it separates us from being a goy. It makes us to who we are, which is a very, very important thing. And I think we should try to have that in mind next time we're tempted or have an opportunity which song to play. Perhaps we should think about it for a moment. Maybe don't play it right now, especially as most of us probably know what she looks like when you play the song. I think that's a fair statement in the generation that we're living with the phones that we have, that we probably know what she looks like, which doesn't add, because normally the videos that they come out with are probably not al pi shulchan aruch. So, it doesn't help. So therefore, a person should think about it. When we put in music is a very powerful tool. Use the tool. Music is beautiful. Music is amazing. Tzaddikim and Rebbes would love music. They would sing music. It's beautiful, but use it in the right way. And that's like with everything in the world that the Rebbeinu Shalom created. Like the Gemara tells us in Chulin, Beit Perek, that what? Everything the Rebbeinu Shalom created, but Issa, there's always a heter, right? Enochanami, there's a lot of Isurim things going on, but a person has to realize that for every Issa, there's always a heter. So there's plenty of kosher music, maybe it's not as good, I don't like it, all these complaints and all these things, and there's plenty of Gavaldiga music, there's plenty of very heart, soul music that a person can get into. And it's kedai for a person to realize that this is what the Rebbeinu Shalom wants from us, especially now during Shovim. It's an opportunity for us to work on ourselves, to become better people, to make that getter of Kedusha, to make that getter against their eyes that will lead us to the Kedusha. And Be'ez Hashem, we should Rebbeinu Shalom give us siyata d'shmaya to be Be'ez Hashem, to be able to cope with our temptations and to go in the right way. And once we have our Gedorim, Be'ez Hashem, Rebbeinu Shalom will give us Kedusha.